Hello, everyone. Sorry I'm a little late today. I did the upgrade dance to Monterey on my MacBook, and as is so often the case when you do a major upgrade on OS X, lost a lot of security permissions, so had to reconvince my operating system that it was okay to share desktops and things like that. So thanks for your patience. I was just doing a little bit of restarting of Chrome and things like that on the backside here. Hope you're all doing well. I'm doing very well myself. We are just kicking off our fiscal year at Algolia. And so today was the big corporate kickoff event. And the guest speaker was Chris Hatchfield, the astronaut, which was pretty mind-blowing. So that was pretty cool. I was doing that right before I jumped on here. So very exciting. Few things that I'm looking to do this week. The big thing I want to do is I want to start jumping into building out an e-commerce site. So you're going to be seeing some of that today. My intent was to maybe go through, I'm going to be doing it based on our template, our e-commerce template. Let me drop that in the chat here so you can see what we're going to be going for. There's actually a blog post around it. This is kind of the foundation, and my intent was, of course, to go through and read through it ahead of time and kind of do it all ahead. But yesterday I kind of got deep down a Stack Overflow rabbit hole. I've been neglecting Stack Overflow. I've been kind of on my own a little bit since just this year, and so it's kind of been playing whack-a-mole, picking different areas to kind of dig into. And I know I'd been neglecting Stack Overflow. So the first thing I kind of wanted to do was kind of dig into some of that. And it ended up taking me a while. Y'all have been asking some really great questions over there. One thing I noticed over in Stack Overflow is we kind of tend to obsess in the Next.js space and sort of the React space on the front end. And I noticed that over on Stack Overflow, the questions just run the gamut. You know, a lot of folks still doing a lot of stuff with Laravel and PHP, some great questions around Angular and Vue. So as a front-end noob, I'm realizing that I can pat myself on the back for learning a little bit about React, but I've got a lot more to learn, and there's a lot more kind of interesting stuff to dig into. So definitely would love to dig into some of that here if folks would be interested. Particularly, honestly, PHP was kind of a technology that I kind of leapt over or maybe was able to kind of sidestep somehow, just kind of coming. You know, I was doing a lot of Perl stuff, and then by the time I came back, it was kind of all JavaScript and Node. So it'd be kind of cool to maybe go back and kind of pick some of that up. I know a lot of you folks are still using it too. So let me know if any of those would be something that you would be particularly interested in. You can shout it out in the comments or hit me up on Twitter, and let me know kind of which different front ends I should be stumbling through going forward. So speaking of Stack Overflow, I did want to give one particular shout out. Let me see how I do this here. That's not what I want. Is it better? There we go. Yeah, so one thing I wanted to shout out is CMG Chess, who I noticed as I was kind of catching up on the last couple months of Stack Overflow. CMG Chess has been asking a lot of great questions. This was one in particular around concerns about surfacing the Algolia search, the API key, right, and baking in filters. This was particularly around sort of filtering data based on user, right? So I only want users to see certain records within an index. Was thinking about potentially moving to a backend search to be able to sort of force that. So kind of a little bit of chat here back and forth about how you can use these secure API keys. If this is something you haven't seen before, this is a mechanism we support in Algolia. And I'll paste this into the chat as well. But this is a mechanism that we support for essentially crafting an API key with a filter already baked into it that's you give to a specific user. It could be role-based, it could be user-based, but basically the bottom line is you can bake a filter in so that certain attributes are hard-coded, and there's just nothing that the end user can do to kind of get around it. This is a great way to say, hey, this stuff is only visible by certain users or certain roles. So this is kind of like a cool security mechanism that allows you to sort of layer in a little bit more security and still do your search on the front side, so you don't lose that ability to do real time, as you type search, and having to dump all of the API calls on the back end. So that was cool. But that's just one kind of example of the conversations that have been going on. I'm sorry I haven't been able to answer all your questions, CMG Chess. I know you had some good stuff around Angular as well. And I noticed that you've been answering some questions for other folks as well. So just wanted to shout you out. And, I got this nice little message too that says that I should keep doing the live stream. So nice to see. Nice to know folks are actually watching. So thanks for that. But anyway, so as a direct result of kind of spending so much time in Stack Overflow yesterday, I did not do any reading ahead of time for this e-commerce thing that we're going to embark on today. So it'll be pretty sloppy. It's going to be a lot of kind of reading as we go, picking stuff up. So just bear with me. This is the blog post that we're going to go from. Oh, wait, no, this isn't the blog post we're going to go from. And we'll talk about that one in a minute. This is the blog post we're going to go from, announcing our PDVA ecom UI template. If you didn't know about this, this is something our solutions team has put out in the Algolia samples repo. And this is a fully baked e-commerce site template that is PDVA compliant. It has kind of all the different pieces, and it integrates nicely with a ton of different features on the Algolia side, including, well, this is kind of all the featurey stuff, React hooks, PWA compliant, includes SEO optimization, right? Because we know that there's search in the site, but then you also live in the larger ecosystem. But then from a feature perspective, well, maybe it's not here, maybe it's on the repo itself, but we'll take a look. But it includes support for recommendations and kind of all of the other different bells and whistles within Algolia. So over the next couple of live streams, I'm going to try and take this template and start sort of building out all the different technologies on it. We'll see how that goes. The other blog post that I wanted to point out today is this one. This is one that came out a couple weeks ago that I had missed that I thought was pretty cool. And this is kind of a step-by-step on building out a kind of a multi-index React application. Basically, the concept here is going ahead and trying to layer in inventory information, right? So you're selling a product and you want to make sure that you've got nearly real-time inventory information for a couple of reasons, right? You want the end user to have a good experience and kind of give them the information that they need to make an informed decision about a purchase. But also, right, there's that scarcity kind of aspect of it too, where if someone starts to see that inventory start to decrease, that puts a little more pressure on you to make a decision about whether or not you want to buy as well. So I thought this was kind of a neat blog post. I'll drop this link in as well to the chat. But I thought this was a neat blog post that kind of goes through and kind of shows doing all the different pieces. And again, kind of the interesting thing about it is the approach that was taken for this blog post is essentially to use a secondary index for the inventory information. So you've got your primary index with all of your products in it, right? And those have unique object IDs. And then the secondary index, which is just for the inventory information. And those two are tied together by object ID. There's a couple of reasons for this. One, it scales down the size of this index because, the thought here is that this is going to be very dynamic. You're going to be changing a lot of the information here, or it's going to be updating as people order products, as opposed to your product information is probably a little bit more static or doesn't update at least as often. So what this allows you to do is separate out the very dynamic pieces of content into their own index, which will speed up indexing. So as these inventory amounts, these quantities change, re-indexing is going to be a lot faster because you don't have all of these other different pieces of data. You probably only have a single facet. Maybe you have no facets because the main reason that we're using it, at least in this use case, is by direct lookup, right? So remember that you can do searches across your index, but you can also do direct lookup of records if you do the object ID. And since we've got a one-to-one correlation between this inventory and this object record, you do your search here against your products, and then you go pull in the inventory information doing a direct lookup by that object ID. So that's kind of a lot of spoilers. Recommend going and taking a look at this article. Maybe this will be something we'll implement in the future. I've got quite a backlog building up now. Obviously, we want to do a bunch of stuff with this e-commerce search. And at some point, I definitely want to implement that Twitch search bot that we looked at last week, the article that we looked at last week. So, man, getting a serious backlog of stuff to work on here. I wish I was a faster coder, really do. But I'm not, and here we are. So let's see, what else did I want to jump into here? Oh yeah, the other thing I wanted to show, I wanted to just really quickly go back to the agency finder. So this is the thing that I've been working on the last couple of weeks. I did finally put up a public repo for this, so you're welcome to take a peek at it. This, if you recall, was me dabbling with Geosearch. And so the concept here was to build sort of a multi-layer search where you have a list of agencies. Maybe this is a bad idea to bring this up, but a list of agencies that have real-world addresses with actual geolocation information, and then to layer in sort of more abstracted records with statewide or national agencies and be able to sort of show those results together. I kind of had cobbled together something by the end of last session that was at least working. I've cleaned that up quite a bit. So I've got my agency finder now. I still haven't kind of moved this box up to the top, but what I've done is I've turned these other boxes into read-only so that people know that you can't really manipulate this address. But what you can do is you can go in here. You can type in an address. So this is a real world address here. I can do a search against it. And then I get a combination of both these national and statewide agencies based off of the state information. And then also these sort of more geolocational records based on the geo that I typed in here. So this database doesn't actually have any records in New York. Maybe we can do something in Massachusetts. I know that there was some, that's in, let's see. Woburn. You can see here we're starting to get records that are sort of geolocation based, based on the latitude and longitude of this particular address, and then layered in with these national and state agencies. You also have this ability to do facet filtering on top of that. So we can get just these preferred agencies, which take us a little further afield geographically, but gives us ones that have been flagged as preferred for whatever reason. So the things that I kind of cleaned up since we looked at this last, obviously a little bit of UI cleanup here. The other thing that I was very pleased with, kind of coming out the other side of this, is as you might or might not recall, I was using the Google API. The recommendation that they had was to go ahead and instantiate your sort of your API instance within your static HTML. So I had like a script with a line that instantiated the API that included my API key, which I know was just driving me nuts. It seems like it's driven other folks nuts too. I did discover the React wrapper for that API. What level did I put that in? Is that in the Finder? Let's see. Yep. So I did discover this React wrapper, which allows you to actually instantiate your Google instance programmatically within your React component. Where? Here it is. So yeah, so I've got this wrapper here within my left panel. So I can pull in my API key from environment, which is great. And then I tell it to go and render the form. So it calls this render form method here, which actually renders my Finder form. So a couple cool things about this, right? First of all, it allows me to hide my API key, which makes me very happy. And second of all, it has a bunch of stuff around sort of pulling for status. So you can expose a loading message here until the Finder form loads, which is obviously really nice when you're dealing with kind of a slower API like the Google API. So it just kind of gave me a little bit cleaner interface. You can kind of see that quick pop in there as I load in the form. Obviously, there's cleaner ways to handle that, but it just makes me very, very happy. What this does make me want to do now, though, is now that I've got this kind of nice, clean Google object here, I'm wondering if I can start bringing back in um, the Algolia geomap so that I can actually, as we kind of have the search in here, um, actually display on a map as well using the geomap widget from Instant Search. So that would be kind of a nice stretch goal if I kind of wanted to take this any further. But for now, if you want to see this implementation, again, I posted into the chat the repo. You're welcome to go in, take a look at the code, tell me what I can improve, especially on the React side of things, right? Because I'm kind of new to all of this. But I have to say, very much enjoying kind of building out these different components. I like kind of building this out in pieces, right? So I've got the larger sort of Google piece up here, and then I'm kind of being able to render my form and my results components separately, which was just really nice. It was kind of fun to put all of this together. It was a good first React project. So we'll put a pin in that for now. Again, that is my agency finder. And, if there's anything else you'd like to see around that geo component, I think the one other thing that I'm probably going to do for the blog post is I did have like kind of that initial idea of, instead of taking my my national agencies and breaking them out in their own index, which is what I ended up doing. Let me see if I can show that real quick. Here we go. You'd think I was signed in, but I'm not. Oh, shoot. LastPass. Because I had to re-sign out. Let me do this real quick. Always fun. LastPass password. Joy of watching people sign into stuff in real time, huh? Always a good time. All right. Oh, hey, look. There's my password. Probably change that, huh? It's not working anyway. That's not the right password. Okay. Well, there you go. I'm gonna drag this over here. Do. Good times for everyone. Oh, I know. I think that was trying to sign into my previous employer account. Using my. That's what's going on. Those credentials don't work anyway. Use those till the cows come home. And then a little more two-factor authentication, because streamers like me end up showing off their passwords. All right. And now we can drag that back over. So, like I was talking about, let's get out of Battlesnake. See, I think it's just in my default. Yeah. So, I have the state information. Like, these records are just super simple. It's just the agency and then the states that I can look it up. My national agency is just all of them. So one of the things that I'd suggested originally as a solution for this was to essentially give these geographic coordinates so that they would show up with just a single geographic search. The thing I didn't like about that was, like, on a map, they would show as sort of having a location. And also, they wouldn't necessarily, show up, say, like you have a large state like Texas, and I put the pin at the center of it, then maybe if I'm on the edge of the map, it's not going to show up. It's going to show me, say, New Mexico, which might actually be closer than the center of Texas, depending on where I am in the state. So, but I might still just put that together just to show off how to do it that way as well. kind of the pros and cons of both approaches. Okay, so enough about Geo. We've been talking about Geo for too long. Let us take a look at e-commerce. And did I ditch? There it is. Let's see, close that, close that, close that, keep that open. So one other thing I could have done to cheat here, and this is just a shout out to one of our ambassadors, Miguel. So if you, whoa, hello, Miguel. So if you don't know Miguel, Miguel is one of our Algolia ambassadors who does a lot of really great Spanish language content. And Miguel has done essentially what I'm about to embark on already for his audience. And if you want to take a look at that, I'll just post that in the chat. So this is sort of the Spanish language version of going through. So he starts from the blog post and he goes through and kind of builds all of this out on his own. And I'm sure his is much cleaner and crisper. He gets the whole thing done in 18 minutes. I bet he practiced ahead of time, unlike us who are going to stumble through it together now. But that's a version of this. If you want to kind of see the clean, condensed version, go check out Miguel's YouTube video. I hadn't liked it yet, so I'm going to like it right now, Miguel. Anyway, so shout out to Miguel for that one. And now let's see what we can do here. Also, as always, I know there's not a lot of folks out there watching, but if you are watching in real time, the nice advantage of that is you have the opportunity to ask questions right there in the chat. Feel free to ask questions about what we're working on, but feel free to hit me up with questions about anything around Algolia, anything around search. If you're watching this on YouTube later, come to the next one. We do these Tuesdays, usually around 2 o'clock Eastern time, and you can come hang out. Ask me some questions. All right, let's take a look here. So our PWA Ecom UI template in React. So yeah, so all you Vue folks and Laravel folks and Angular folks, we're going to be working in React again for now. So this is kind of our sweet spot. This is where a lot of the stuff that we're building these days lives. And so that's where we're going to be for this particular adventure. So a lot of reasons why you want a good user experience for your commercial site, right? Particularly on mobile devices. So this is going to be kind of a mobile first template. And again, this is kind of coming out of our solutions team. So this is basically taking all of the best practices that we've learned from all of our interactions with customers, all of our internal knowledge, and sort of pouring it all into one set of templates that can be used kind of as a jumping off point for whatever site you're trying to do. So get started, run the template on your machine. Let's go ahead and do that. So we've got some directions there. Here we can see a live preview. Let's go ahead and try it out. See what it looks like. So here we are on the Spencer and Williams site. So you can see as soon as we come in, we've got a really kind of dynamic search box here, draws your eyes right to it. This cool kind of QR code search, which is definitely interesting for mobile first customers, right? Where you can kind of scan off a QR code. And coming in, we can see sort of all of these products. We've got the ability to like them. We've got sort of these nice pops on the graphics here, different facets here. So different categories, recommendations right here on the main page. Love it, love it, love it. Lots of really cool stuff to implement here. We've got these great menus here, split up by women, men, and accessories. A little slow loading, but that's okay. I'm a back-end guy, so I'm a little patient. You can see a lot of categorization, subcategorization here, a lot of opportunities to filter. Let's see, even though we selected women, but we can also go to men here, and that's reflected up here. We've got our subcategories there. Cool. So we've got a nice sort of correlation between this header information and our search bar here on the side for our filtering. So let's go ahead. Let's see. Let's get some shoes going here. Let's see. Oh, Saucony. My Massachusetts, my New England past here. Look at those Sauconys. Oh, those are so beautiful. All right. And I like those green ones up front. I love petrol as a color. That's awesome. Okay, cool. Let's see. Does Hogan Rebel, do you have any petrol colored shoes? Nope. Sorry, that's just Saucony. All right. Cool. So we've got a lot of things going on here. Interesting. Let's see. When we go into the search bar, do not see filters reflected there, but that's okay. Let's try jazz. What happens if we do jazz? Look at that. They're all right there, though. That's where they show up. Cool. So still reflected. I can tweak these different components here. And we'll keep it. Olivia, hello. Can you use the store? Apps, you mean for the demo or the template? I mean, you can absolutely use the template, but this is a kind of a live version of it. You can absolutely kind of come in here and play around. Let me go ahead and send you, I sent the link to the blog post, but this is the live store that I'm kind of playing with right now. And so this is basically like just layered over top of the store itself. So pretty cool. But let's get in. Let's see if we can figure out how this thing's built. Okay, so getting started with the e-commerce UI template. Let's see how we have to use this thing. You can run the e-commerce UI template locally in one of two ways, using the Algolia's latency application. Great, cool. Yeah, so I'm going to be stumbling through this. By all means, if you are more of a front end person and get ahead of me, definitely show me what you're working on too. But I think these templates go a long way to sort of building out a fun user experience, especially for someone like me who is not as front end savvy. So we've got two options here. We can either use a pre-existing set of indices that are sitting in the Algolia account, or we can tie them to our own indices. So what I'll probably do to start, just to kind of build out this piece of it, is I'm going to start by using the pre-baked demo backend, and then maybe we can go and dig into sort of setting up our own backend, probably something with Shopify, once I kind of get through these initial steps. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we want to fork the repository. Sounds good. So let's make a fork here. And this is the repository. So go ahead and fork it under my own account. Okay, and let's go ahead and grab that. So we'll go ahead and clone that here. Oh, PWA. Oh, I've already got a copy. I'm going to go ahead and remove that copy because I think that is directly from the Algolia version of it. Again, I didn't really have much of a chance to kind of play with this ahead of time, so I suspect that's from me pulling down the template when it first came out. Let's see, we're going to go ahead and grab this now. Hopefully this is at least slightly legible. I was looking at some of my old videos. I was realizing that between the font size and the template that I was using, which was a little bit more like this, I was definitely keeping things pretty small. So trying to kind of make it a little bit clearer. If you're having trouble seeing stuff, definitely speak up in the chat. I'll take a look at this again and see if we've solved that problem to some extent or not. But I'll just keep increasing the font size here too. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and go ahead and fire this up in VS Code. Okay, and Peacock has given me a dark border for this one. Good to know. Okay, so we've got our stuff here. Let's see what our next step is. Okay, install the dependencies. Sure, we can do that. Makes sense. We're NPM driven on this one. Oh, we can use either. If you want to use the latency. Oh, you know what? The one thing that I've been having trouble with lately, and this is probably going to bite me again here. Well, let's see if this works or not. So I installed a version, I installed Node 17.1, and it was causing some problems with some of the older demos that I was playing with. So I kept having to kind of roll back to 16. Let's see if this works. But I think I'm using 16 here. I'm using 17, yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll stay on 17 for now and see what happens. So if we want to use the latency application, continue with the next steps. Okay. Configure environment variables. Start the development server. Open the project in your browser. All right. So it says configuring. Okay, here we go. Running CLI 2. Let's see. So does that mean that we've already got the default environment variables in here? Let's see what we've got. env sample. Okay, cool. So this has the latency app in it already. So we can just save that as our env local. Maybe. I forget, what's the save as? There it is. Okay. And so this is, obviously like the standard stuff for connecting to an Algolia app. If you haven't done it before, you always need to have an application ID, and you can give them like these plain text IDs, and then each one has sort of a unique ID as well. I tend to use a combination of the two. I definitely have every account kind of starts with this default application. And then I've kind of named some of mine to kind of give me a sanity check. So like this was when I was doing the Battlesnake stuff. I was playing with some e-commerce stuff. So you can see like all the different ones here. So you can either use the ID or you can use the kind of the plain text name. So this one is just one. You'll see a lot of the Algolia demos are built off of this application's latency application. And we've got the search API key. Remember, each application has this sort of read-only key that you can put into your public, your front ends, and then an admin key for injecting records and things like that on the back end. Here is our index. Looks like we're using the staging index for products. And then we've got a secondary index for query suggestions. Cool. And then CLI credentials we don't need for now. So I think we're okay. So let's see, what's our next step here? Yeah, it says to run it. Let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. Marketplace. All right, let's see what else is going on while this is loading up. So again, this is kind of, okay, cool. So what this is doing here is, it looks like we've got JSON files of the different data sources to build out your own indices. So we could actually do this under our own account, but that requires putting in the CLI credentials, which includes the admin key, right? So the admin key actually has full permissions to modify, delete, right, your index, clear out all the records in your index, all of that good stuff. So maybe I'll do that as a next step once we get this up and running. Let's see if this is running. Look at that. there's our shoes. So again, so this is running the front end locally on my machine, plugging into an Algolia index on the back end. But yeah, that looks pretty much like what we saw previously. Let's see if we can, let's find those sweet petrol Sauconys again, right? Let's see. Let's search for petrol. Ooh, a couple pairs of petrol shoes here, but those are those Sauconys. Cool. You can see we can go here. Ooh, we got prices in euros. So that would be kind of an interesting thing, right? Once I bring over the database to my side, or the indices to my side, do we have prices in American dollars? And how hard is it to swap over to that? So you can play with that. But you can see lots of really good templates in here. We can drill in on size, all sorts of good stuff. Can't add to cart yet. I bet there's probably some integration work that has to go with that. We'll find out about that in a little bit here. But, you know, on the plus side, like here we are kind of up and running with a sample version of this. So much easier than starting from scratch, right? We can really start building on top of this. So let's see, what's next up here? Okay, take a look at the structure here. If you want to experiment with customization, the e-commerce UI template is structured as follows. Components, let's see, can we do, hopefully this isn't going to be too, I feel like with this font size, this could be a bit of a challenge, but let's see. Here we go. Okay. I don't know how legible that is, but kind of cool. We can kind of check both sides of it. I'll close up my terminal at this. Oh, I can't close up my terminal. I'll just shrink it down here. Oh, wait, can I do this? Oh, no, that increases. I wanted to just hide you down here on the bottom here. Sorry about that, buddy. Okay, so let's see. So first thing is this components section. Let's take a peek in there. So we've got our autocomplete component, right? Our instance search component. Remember, autocomplete is giving us that fun. So autocomplete is giving that fun, like as we type experience here, right? With all these kind of different categories and popular searches and all that stuff. So we've got that going with our autocomplete. And then of course the instance search gives us sort of that more granular with all the filters and all of that good stuff. Okay, what else we have here in components? Got client only stuff, banners, logos, lots and lots of kind of cool components to play with here. Okay. Let's get back to the tour. Let's see what happens there. Do the guide open twice. Yeah. One last tab. Cool. Okay. So UI components, config is where all our configuration lives. Let's see what we've got here. So we've got a config TS file. What sort of stuff do we have in here? Refinement lists. Price, available sizes, colors, all our different refinements. So you can here's our sorting. We've got ascending and descending. Remember that sort order is one of the hard-coded configurations for your index. So you can see what we're doing here is we're using a couple of virtual replicas of this index so that we can sort by price ascending and descending. It's a little different than what you might be used to with other sort of solutions. Again, this is just because we've got everything is sort of geared towards incredibly fast search. Anything we can do to sort of have information ahead of time so that we can make sure the index is as fast as possible, including sort of pegging the sort order to the index here. We've got a couple different breadcrumb pieces, some user tokens. So remember, user tokens are going to be incredibly important when we start getting into personalization, right? We want to be able to track this user, their clicks, their search events, all of that stuff, so that we can do personalization later. We can do recommendations based on their interactions with their shopping cart, all of that good stuff. Cool, so there's a lot of interesting stuff here in config. I suspect we'll be getting into more of that as we go. Hooks. So this, again, is using aggressively using our new React hooks capabilities. So we've got some debouncing going on here. There's going to be a lot of interesting stuff to kind of dig into here, right? What's this debounce callback? Let's see. Do a memoization. Cool. So a lot of below the surface sort of capabilities here around reducing the number of search requests they're sending to our backend and all of that good stuff. This is really cool. What else we got? Layouts. Let's see. So there's the app, basic page, search page. Cool. Everything's kind of nicely kind of layered together here. A lot going on here in the search page. Returning a basic page layout with all the search capabilities, all these different Algolia components in there. There's our search component. Pretty cool. And then our libs, our pages, right, where we've got kind of our product listings, our product details, catalog. And there's our product page. A lot of interesting stuff in here. Cool. And then different styles. Looks like we're on that tailwind bandwagon here, but obviously you have that opportunity here to kind of layer in your own styles. So that's kind of cool. And then CLI tools for getting your data in. Maybe, where'd they go? Oh, here they are, alphabetical order. So here we can see these are the data files. So this again, I'm using the sort of the hosted version of these indices on the Algolia side. But if you want to go in and pull the data yourself, I'll probably do this at some point. We've got all of the JSON files here, and then all of our actions in here for importing and deleting all of that data. Pretty cool. And then TypeScript and utils. Let's see what kind of utils we come with. Oh, just utility functions. Here's capitalization, right? Nice for cleaning up. Checking whether or not we're in a browser, some math stuff. Okay, just utility stuff. Nice. So demo site data and configuration can be found in the CLI data folder, right? We looked at that a little bit. So products configuration. Let's see, let's take a look and see how the database itself is, or how the index is configured here. Can we pretty that up? Oh, where'd that go? There it is. So cool. So these are all the settings for the product index. Everything that we've kind of got set up in here. Some faceting attributes, right? Snippets, highlighting, all of this good stuff. So the nice thing is you set up an application ID on your side. You can import the data set and drop this configuration in. Now, the one thing to keep in mind if you're going to kind of follow along at home, I'm pretty sure this makes, at least historically, it kind of made use of virtual replicas. And I think virtual replicas are not available in the free tier. So some of the things around, we were doing multiple indices for ascending and descending. I don't think you can currently do that in the free tier. So just something to keep in mind as you're following along at home. But yeah, we can go ahead and get that in there in a second. Let's take a look at, so this is what a product looks like. I can bring that up. Name, description, brand, so a bunch of information in here. So obviously, we're making a lot of assumptions. We are opinionated about what this data should look like. which means that if you're using the template, you're either going to have to kind of ETL your data to follow this format, or make some tweaks to the template to be able to consume the data the kind of the way you have it, particularly things like this review information, right? Got some coloring stuff in here. Pricing here, it looks like it's only in euros right now. Is that true? Let's see. Reviews, filter group, name, available sizes, variants, price. Yeah, all these prices are in euros. Okay, so that's something that we could tweak later. All right, let's take a quick peek at some of these components. And let's see, how far into this have we gotten? Components and customize. Well, let's see if we can get through the end of this piece today. And then what I'll do is I'll start pulling in the data. Next time we can go in and start kind of tweaking this and seeing how we can maybe integrate it into something a little bit more real. Let's see, so the components, the homepage, each UI template comes with a set of functional blocks, a homepage, product listing page, and a product detail page. These prepackaged components are designed to be as independent as possible, so you can choose the ones you're interested in. And they use a lot of instant search. So let's say our homepage component has a showcase. Let's take a look. Components, product, banner. Take a look again. Component showcase. Product showcase, maybe? That looks about right. Okay. Ooh, and all in TSX too, TypeScript, cool. So this will be fun for me too. I haven't really played with too much TypeScript yet, but I love how it keeps you honest. Okay. Into easily scannable rows. So let's see what our showcase looks like. Export product showcase props. Product showcase, here we go. Container. All the different headings in here. Here's your title. And then here's our hits. And then that uses a hit component. Let's see, where does our hit component live? Hits. Infinite hits component. Cool. So we get our little showcase here. See if I can go back over to it. So that shows our little showcase on the front side with our infinite hits. And then on the product listing page, we've got our product card, any banner information, and then we've got a no results page, right? So this is always important to have. Hopefully you don't have to show it that often, but it's always nice to have a nice kind of thing to display. I'm guessing probably we're doing some recommendations on that. Let's see. Pull these links through. Let's see if does this take us to the code? Oh no, it takes us to the handler. Okay, cool. So let's see. The results handler component guides users when there are no results. The following example, the query beautiful black bag doesn't match any results. The no results handler component hides all other components and lists 3 options. So check the query spelling. Search the current query and the query suggestions index to list queries that have results. Now that's pretty cool, right? So your query didn't have any results. Here are some other queries that might be better: black smooth, black dark, black denim, and show currently applied refinements so that you can clear those out, right? So maybe I'm here on the page looking for some shoes. And maybe I decide that I want some Sauconys here. And I want to find Nike. Yep. So there's a reminder. Hey, you're not going to find Nikes because your brands are limited to Saucony. And then boom. That's slick. I like that. That's really cool. What does that look like, I wonder? Try and find our no results handler. That's prompt. No results handler component. No results props. Try the following. Check your spelling. No results query suggestions. No results current refinements. This is super slick. Oh, this is going to be fun to play with. This is cool. Okay, but I'm running out of time today. Oh, and you got a mobile version too. Let's see what the mobile version looks like. Yeah. Not the world's most attractive, but my gosh, right? The functionality of this is super cool. All right. Well, I got a lot to learn here. So my commitment to you all is I'm going to read through a little bit more of the guide, and I'm going to go ahead and get my data imported into a local index for next time. I went ahead and signed up for a Shopify account. Kind of super ambitious being that it'd be cool to get like something that was real and actually kind of built off of a Shopify site. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on getting the index data from the sample in here so that we can start playing with some of these more interesting features. So that'll be sort of my goal for next Tuesday. In the meantime, feel free to go ahead and grab the template yourself, get it loaded up, start playing around with it. That way you can come and barrage me with questions about sort of different pieces, different functionalities, and we'll drill into this a little more next week. So hopefully this was useful to you. Again, I would say, maybe start with the blog post. You can take a look at some of the stuff that's kind of going on in here. I really kind of want to see if we can get the mobile version of this going too, because it'd be fun to play with like that the barcode scanner and some of the other pieces there too. But I'm afraid that's all my time for today. So I will bid you adieu. As always, you can follow me on Twitter, Chuck M. Follow Algolia at Algolia on Twitter as well. Feel free to ping me there. You can find these videos on the Algolia YouTube channel. And we'll keep doing these every Tuesday. But again, always feel free to come in with questions, suggestions, all of that good stuff. Let me know what other frameworks we could start abusing so we can get out of this kind of Next.js space that we kind of spend a lot of our time in. And I will talk to you soon. Take care.